Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. Let's get started. First of all, what I want to do is just to make sure that you can all hear me okay. As it says on the screen there, on the right-hand side, there's a little area. It says questions. If you do me the great favor of just popping a note in there saying hello, let me know your name and where you're tuning in from. It'd be great to find out where everybody is this afternoon, but also more importantly, just to make sure you can hear me and see the screen that I can see. It seems to be up and running perfectly well my side, but I've had some horrible experiences in the past of waffling onto myself for a good sort of 10-15 minutes before a kind soul advises me they're unable to hear or see anything. So it would be wonderful to hear from you. Oh, wonderful, Tim. Great. Thanks ever so much for tuning in down from London. Oh, there we go. Barbara and Alan over in Wales as well. Good stuff. Plenty of you chiming in. Good. Anyway, right. Let's get started properly. That's me. I'm Gareth Jones. I'm the Product and Purchasing Manager of Railbookers, and today I will be talking about the top 5 hand-picked holidays for 2021. Where can we travel to? Hopefully travel to this year. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just first of all just run through a bit about Railbookers, 5 minutes of who we are and what we do, and then we'll get stuck into those 5 great holidays. Okay. First up, a great promotion we're running at the moment. Really good promotion. So essentially what it means, pick your perk. You can upgrade your rail holiday on us. If you were to book, pay a deposit, book, so you don't have to travel between any time, a trip for 3 to 6 nights, then you would receive £300 per couple or £150 if you're traveling on your own to put towards a perk or an upgrade. If you're traveling for 7 to 9 nights, £400 or about £200 per person, or for 10 nights or longer, it's £500, £250 per person. That value can be used towards a variety of options, including upgrading your train tickets to first class, extending your stay, adding nights on, adding in a special activity, a private tour of a particular museum you're interested in, or maybe a cookery class, for example, upgrading your hotel to a 5-star, many different options. But yes, so that's in place for the moment. Now, with a name like Railbookers, you would hope that we understand trains, and we do. You know, we really are rail specialists. I'm looking at it a bit, but we are direct partners with all the major rail operators throughout the world. We have direct booking systems with them. We have access to the train seats and the train fares before they're made available to the public. Now, with Railbookers, you can book and travel from today to 2 years in advance to 2023. Now, granted, we're very limited in terms of where we can actually travel to today or tomorrow or over the next few weeks, but once the world gets back to normal, it's great to know that you can give us a call, book a holiday. We can get everything in place and all the travel documentation to you in time within 24 hours to depart. On the flip side of that, though, as said, we guarantee holiday prices as far as 2 years in advance. So May 2023, you can book a holiday with us with a very small deposit. That cost is not going to change at all, and the remaining balance wouldn't be due until 3 months prior to your trip. Maximum flexibility. All of our holidays within reason. Again, you know, special trains or private trains where there's only set departure dates, we can't do anything about that. But the holidays themselves are fully flexible, customizable. I'm never quite sure if that is a word, but what it means is you can chop them and change them in many ways. You can add nights on, take nights away, add in a destination, add in a special tour. You can come to us and say, these are the places that I want to visit by train. Can you make it happen? Yes, we can. We can do that for you. On the flip side of that, though, on our website, we have over 3,000 different itineraries, different holiday packages. We have the largest rail holiday selection, be it from the private trains, Venice Simplon Orient Express, for example, the Royal Scotsman up in Scotland, multi-country journeys, heading out to Romania by train, or creating a tailor-made rail itinerary. As said, if you have some places you want to visit by train and we haven't got it already, let us know, we can do it. No rail trip is too complicated for us. So hopefully you've seen the website, but you can also, if you like, on the website, get a digital brochure. So we've produced a few of them. We normally do have physical brochures, and we do aim to have physical brochures again once the world returns to a little bit more normality, shall we say. But meanwhile, you can quite easily download one of these. It's there's Railbookers, the worldwide holidays across the world. There's a dedicated one for luxury private trains, the luxury rail journeys. There's a dedicated e-brochure for everything within the UK and Ireland, and for the cruise extension. So if you're looking to take a river cruise somewhere, or even a Mediterranean cruise, or even down to Greece for a cruise, for example, we can help get you there and get you back. What's great to have in your mind as well is up until the end of June, any bookings made with us will be covered by this and are covered by this, essentially offer you maximum flexibility, meaning that you can change the date of travel, no additional cost from us up until 5 days prior to departure. So there's no cancellation fees or amendment fees from us. And when we are finally able to travel the world, it's good to know that wherever you are in the world, you have 24-hour support from us. We've got the main office in London. I'm located in York myself. 2 offices in the US, one on either coast, just north of Boston and just south of Los Angeles. We have an office in Toronto, Canada, and in Sydney, Australia. Now, everybody is working from home, but everybody is still working and still working very hard. Good to know, though, but wherever you are in the world, no matter what the time, no matter what the problem, no matter if it's a question, an issue, you have an emergency number to call, we're on hand to help. And as touched on briefly, we are kind of direct partners of all the major rail operators throughout the world, be it Via Rail in Canada, Amtrak, Deutsche Bahn, Germany and Eastern Europe, but also Belmont, the luxury rail operators, Golden Eagle, Indian Railways, all the major rail operators throughout the world. We have direct booking systems with, we have direct partnership with. What's good to highlight here, I think, is what does traveling by train look like in the world, or currently in Europe. Now, of course, we're all used to it now, wearing a mask, passengers, staff on board the trains, in stations and on the trains, everyone's wearing a mask. Stopping the sale of food and drink on board trains, it depends where you are in the world. And again, that's the issue with many different rail operators, different policies, etc. In Eastern Germany, Eastern Europe, forgive me, lots of buffet cars are open. You can still get a cooked meal on board, no problem. Other trains, so Eurostar, for example, they are offering coffee service, but very, very kind of slimmed down service, no catering. But a real important thing to highlight here is the difference between train travel and flying. There aren't the restrictions in place for what you can take on board as there are with airlines for traveling by train. Take a picnic with you. The Marks and Spencer's Eurostar terminal at St Pancras is open. You pop in there, get your sandwiches, get snacks, get a bottle of wine. There's nothing better than enjoying a kind of high-speed TGV down to the south of France, for example, with a glass of wine, admiring the view. Changing seat configuration allocation on board, so social distancing. I think everyone welcomes a bit more space on board trains, so every now and then there's a seat that's left unoccupied. Increased cleaning and sanitation. Cleaners on board the train, making sure that everything is cleaned properly throughout the whole journey, not just at the start and the end of the trip. And contactless ticket control. We've all got used to having a ticket on our phones or a tablet. Now, if that is a problem, I quite like having a physical bit of paper myself. I always print these things off to have a paper copy. We can do that for you and send them out as well, no problem. So, holidays, handpicked. First up, Grand Tour of Scotland. Scotland, of course, as I'm sure you appreciate, has been by far the most popular destination this year. And what a lot it has to offer as well. Here, we start the journey and end the journey in London. Now, it's very important to highlight the flexibility we've touched on already, that if you're not based in London, don't worry. We can just change the itinerary to pick it up from your local station to get up to Inverness. What's good about starting in London, though, and that's what the holiday is based on, is taking the Caledonian Sleeper, the direct overnight train up to Inverness. 2 nights in Inverness. On that full day, you've got a great day trip out to the Isle of Skye, down to Fort William. 2 nights in Fort William. Great day trip on the West Highland line and the Jacobite train. Glasgow for 2 nights, and then on to Edinburgh for 2 nights before taking the train back to London, the daytime trains down the East Coast Main Line. So the Caledonian Sleeper, one of the very few sleeper train lines in the UK. The train itself, it's a newish train. I mean, it's only about 2 years old, and obviously for the past year, it's not had much use. So it's a wonderful onboard experience. The classic room, which is this, bunk beds. Okay, now as you can see, there is a sink here, fresh running water, electrics. There is an upgraded option called the club class room. The club is same layout, so bunk beds, but it's en suite, and you also get breakfast included as well. You could take breakfast in the restaurant when it's open. It's not open yet. May hopefully open it later on this year, but at the moment it's not open, so you can have breakfast served in your cabin. There is also the Caledonian double cabins as well. So again, much more space, en suite, but key to the experience where the Caledonian double is the double beds. So you haven't got to worry about the bunk beds getting up to the top or anything like that. Again, great train, really, really good rolling stock, great service on board, and some great accommodation. Really, can't beat the fun of traveling on an overnight train. Inverness, capital of the Highlands, obviously bags of history up here from kind of thousands of years of Scottish history. Good day trip out, the Island on Castle and the Isle of Skye as well. And it's an organised small group tour, around about 16 people in total. It's a great way of actually getting out and seeing the Highlands, seeing the sort of scenery, not having to worry about driving yourself. And obviously the train lines don't really kind of access all the key sites as such. After 2 nights in Inverness, over to Fort William. 2 nights in Fort William in the shadows of Ben Nevis. And for that full day, you've got, a lot of people say, the most scenic train line in the UK, the West Highland line. And you do it on the Jacobite steam train. Here's the Glenfinnan Viaduct, becoming more and more famous throughout the world from the Harry Potter films, of course. But beautiful scenery. The whole of the line actually kind of skirts the coast quite a lot as well. Regular trains run this route also, but I mean, nothing more enjoyable than the fun of being on a steam train. Second class, the holiday is based on second class, but first class, it looks like this. First class are the classic kind of British Pullman carriages. So it's worth looking at that upgrade for the Jacobite. In first class, you can get lunch as well, afternoon tea with some sandwiches, but enjoying the amazing view. Got windows that open, true kind of old train, beautiful. Open windows, fresh sea air, amazing views, brilliant day trip. Ends in Mallaig on the coast, get some great views of the Isle of Skye from there, and then you take the train back as well in the afternoon. And as mentioned, ends with 2 nights in Edinburgh. Of course, beautiful Scottish capital. Great activity here. Just if in Scotland, of course, why not familiarise yourself with Scotch whisky? And Scotch whisky experience. It's a great kind of few hours in Edinburgh. Collection of over 4,000 bottles of whisky, the biggest collection in the world, I believe. But you've got some great experiences here. So some really well organised tastings. Tasting around about 4 or 5 with small snacks as well. And you also get a souvenir crystal whiskey tasting glass to take home as well. Now, along the same theme, but not going as far north as Inverness, it's London, Edinburgh, York, and the Caledonian Sleeper. So again, same thing. We've got the Caledonian Sleeper from London up to Edinburgh, 2 nights in Edinburgh. Of course, one of the great things of traveling by overnight train is you leave in the evening, you arrive in the morning. So you've got that full day before you take the train to get to London or do some sightseeing in London. But then when you arrive in Edinburgh, you get that full first day. So you've essentially got 2 nights, you've got 2 full days as well. 2 nights in Edinburgh, you've got kind of organised city walking tour. And we also get access to the Edinburgh Castle, skip the line as well. Down to York for 2 nights, got a hop on, hop off ticket for York, which is great. I said, I live in York myself, but the hop on, hop off bus is a really good way of just learning the history, the stories around each building, around all the streets and things like that. Otherwise, walking, it's a beautiful city to walk, and absolutely you've got plenty of time to do that, but maybe just one loop on the bus is brilliant because it's so informative. And then the daytime train down to London for a final night in London. That's the East Coast Main Line, just 2 hours from York down to London. Edinburgh, again, it's so diverse, Edinburgh, and the Dean's Village little area is beautiful as well, very kind of different to the Victorian style terrace housing so used to seeing in Edinburgh. Very, very pretty. In all the destinations, we do have some great hotel options. So included in every holiday package, of course, is your hotel stay, averaging 3 to 4 star, breakfast included, city centre. Now, of course, if it's a special occasion, if you like, why not upgrade to a 5-star hotel, the Caledonian Hotel in Inverness. It's an old train station that's converted many years ago into a 5-star hotel. Really beautiful and got a lot of personality as well. And then York, 2 hours from Edinburgh to York. Really beautiful scenery as well. Just following the coast by Berwick upon Tweed. There's obviously the York Minster. The York Walls, you can walk the York Walls or pretty much all the way around the old city. It's one way at the moment just due to social distancing. What's nice this year about York as well is in the Railway Museum, National Railway Museum, lots of historic trains. There's an exhibition about the Trans-Siberian Railway. And in that exhibition, they will have a Fabergé egg. So one of the original, there's only about 50 of them in the world, Fabergé eggs, seen as a piece of absolute luxury, incredibly rare, incredibly beautiful, incredibly valuable Fabergé egg. So they'll have one in York, which will be amazing. Now, we can't talk about travel in 2021 without talking about Portugal, of course. The first country to be green lighted as such here, Porto, Coimbra and Lisbon. Now, included here, of course, the hotel accommodation as mentioned in every holiday, the train travel included in every holiday, sightseeing experience listed, short river cruise in Porto, guided tour of the university in Coimbra and a small group tour of Lisbon as well, that's included. So are the flights from the UK. Now, these flights are from any airport. You're not tied down to one particular airport. Not saying the flight is from Heathrow. No, it's from, tell us your local airport, make it work. And again, absolutely beautiful destinations. Flying into Porto, the airport in Porto, connection into Porto itself. It's on the metro line. Very, very easy, very quick, very convenient. Porto itself, beautiful, quite dramatic in terms of its geographical layout. Very, very steep coming down to the river itself. But included, you've got the 6 bridges cruise, just about an hour's cruise up and down. And again, for the Pick Your Perk promotion, you could quite easily just add an extra night in Porto and then have a full day cruise up the Douro River to Pinhão, place around about sort of 6-7 hours up the river here. Gets wine tasting, some of the amazing wine that the Douro River is so famous for. Overnight Pinhão, and then either come back via another river cruise or take the local train, which is kind of follows the valley along as well. Beautifully scenic journey. The train line the trains in Portugal, a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest with you. A lot of them are local trains, such as the Douro River Cruise, but the line from Porto, Coimbra, Lisbon, that's the high speed line. It's the Pendolino trains that we're used to in the UK, so the high speed leaning trains. The first hour or so from between Porto and Coimbra, really scenic, really, really pretty, coming alongside the coast as well, the coastline, following the coast down. Here we've got skip the line to Coimbra University, one of the oldest universities in Western Europe. Beautiful ancient library, really gorgeous. But ending with 3 nights in Lisbon, the capital, one of my favorite cities, absolutely gorgeous city, just both in the architecture, but the heart and soul of the place as well. So music everywhere. Down by the seafront is very, very pretty as well, particularly a bit further along Belém, the neighborhood called Belém Tower, the ancient medieval tower on the seafront, but also it's just a short walk from Geronimo's monastery, the monastery of Geronimo, which is gorgeous, UNESCO heritage status monastery. That's where you get the beautiful custard tarts as well. It's amazing, Lisbon, it really is. And then it even got to Barrio Alto, high up. You get some great views across the city. You can see it there miles away, but in fact, that bridge crossing across there. It's over a mile long, and the other side of that's actually flamingos living wildly as well. It's incredible, I think in Europe, but yeah, gorgeous city, it really is. So you've got a walking tour to see all the major sites included here for half the day. But again, something to kind of add your own, add a little bit extra for your holiday. You could quite easily add an extra night and take a day trip out to Fatima, the sanctuary, the ancient kind of Catholic monastery. Beautiful, beautiful building, an amazing experience going out there, but you'd really need an extra night in Lisbon to do that. Now, something a bit further afield, very much, again, obviously very much expecting Greece to be on the green list within the next few weeks, but Athens, Santorini and Crete by train. It's a blockbuster of a holiday, it really is. 2 weeks in total. Excuse me. So you would take the routing through Italy, Eurostar to Paris, then Paris down to Milan, overnight in Milan. And then it's quite an early start from Milan, around about 8 o'clock in the morning, direct train to Bari. Bari, take the overnight ferry over to Greece, to Patras. Here, you'll be met by your own private driver, and they will escort you, drive you straight to Athens and your hotel. From there on in, you've got pick up and drop off included for a private driver, also private tours as well. But in Athens, you've got, it's a small group tour in Athens, the morning tour of the Acropolis, and then a small group tour going up to Delphi. If you wanted private tour, we can absolutely take care of that, no problem. Down Santorini for 2 nights, and then down to Crete for 2 nights in each of Heraklion, Agios Nikolaos, and Chania as well. Also a night in Rethymno, one of the most beautiful villages in the whole of Crete, before flying back. Again, the flights are included, all the travellers included, all the sightseeing mentioned, private transfers in Greece as well. Just obviously due to the seasonality of the islands, the holiday only runs between April and October. And the reason we take this route is sadly the rail network in Greece. There are a couple of cross-border trains that run from Sofia to Thessaloniki and from Skopje to Thessaloniki as well, but both trains are fairly unreliable and not the best quality, the best of times. It's a journey I made myself around about 10 years ago. Quite an adventure, I'll give it that. But yeah, it's not the most comfortable journey. We have heard that there's a lot of work being done and maybe some new trains added to those lines later on this year, which would be brilliant. So perhaps further down the line, we might look at the overland route all the way. But meanwhile, via Italy is the most direct and the most comfortable way of doing it. As mentioned, so Athens, the Acropolis, the whole of the Acropolis, you have a kind of tour of the whole mountain itself and going at the access to the Parthenon and access to the Acropolis Museum, one of the best museums in the world according to the Times. Small group tour going up to Delphi on Mount Parnassus. It's quite a drive out of Athens, but a beautiful, beautiful drive, and the whole surrounding area is spectacular. Delphi itself, huge archaeological complex with huge importance to understanding classic Greece and the classic world. It's essentially the temple of Apollo. It's where Greeks it's where they could communicate directly with the gods. An amazing setting high up in the mountains, but a great day trip to get up there. The ferry of Santorini, the ferries in Greece are fantastic. They really are huge, and there's no worry about getting space. There is first class available on most of them as well to get a bit of extra leg room. Santorini, the most photographed island in the whole of Greece, I'd say, really. Absolutely breathtaking, the whole of the island, and the caldera, the whole sort of volcanic caldera itself. Included here is a evening catamaran cruise. So around about 5 hours, jump on a catamaran, stopping off at a couple of little tiny beaches, having a barbecue, and then cruise up to the north of the island. There's a tiny village called Oia on Santorini, which is right at the north of the island. It's every evening it gets jam-packed full of people going to watch the breathtaking sunset. So doing it on the catamaran cruise is a great way of getting that sunset, seeing that amazing sunset, but avoiding all the crowds in Oia, which can get quite compact, shall we say. From Santorini, it's only about 2 hours, 2.5 hours down to Crete from here. And Crete, again, picked up from the cruise terminal in Heraklion, the capital. 2 nights in Heraklion and a private guided tour of the Heraklion Museum, first of all, which has got some amazing artifacts from the Minoan civilization, but also the Palace of Knossos as well, which is amazing. I mean, it's funny because look at it and think, knowing that a Victorian explorer sort of tried to reimagine it with these red columns and things, but the history of this place is breathtaking. And I think the old myth story of the Minotaur and Theseus having to negotiate the maze and battle the Minotaur, that was here. It's an amazing history. It really is an amazing having the private tour here. After 2 nights in Heraklion, you've got a private driver taking you east for about an hour. And you've got 2 nights in Agios Nikolaos, beautiful kind of town on the coast. It's got a bottomless lake and some beautiful kind of taverns dotted around this lake. Some nice beaches as well. But you've got a day trip to Spinalonga, which is just a little bit further around the lake. Spinalonga is beautiful sort of island city complex in a way, but it's uninhabited now. But it's got a huge history going back to Ottomans, to the Venetian Republic. Most recently in the kind of 18th, 19th century, it was a leper colony, but completely deserted now, apart from day trippers. You take a small, it's only about kind of 5-minute cruise off the island of Crete, and you're there, you kind of wander. It's gorgeous. It really is quite atmospheric. From there, it's another 2-hour drive east. Again, a private driver taking you there overnight at Rethymno. Gorgeous, gorgeous town, really is. But then it's another short hour's journey onto Chania. Chania, you've got 2 nights here. Again, you've got a private half-day tour of the actual kind of town itself, showing you all the points, historical interest, the mosque, for example, from Ottoman times. But of course, some beautiful beaches as well, just to enjoy an afternoon on the beach before coming back to the UK. And finally, heading over to the US. Again, another country we're hoping to see on the green list very soon. Doing very, very well with their vaccines, and everything seems to be going particularly well. Here, the Great American Majestic Landscapes. So you've noticed we haven't got flights included here. You can add the flights if you like, but there's so many different options in terms of flying to the US and elsewhere in the world. Outside of Europe, we don't include the flights. Europe, we include the flights. Elsewhere, we don't. Either way, 2 nights in New York, and then overnight on the Lakeshore Limited sleeper train to Chicago. 2 nights in Chicago. Sightseeing of both New York and Chicago. So sightseeing pass to kind of go off and enjoy independently as you wish. And then you depart Chicago on the California Zephyr. Overnight on the California Zephyr to Denver. 2 nights in Denver. A full-day tour up to the Rocky Mountain National Park from Denver. Come back to Denver for the final night, but then you leave on the California Zephyr again in the morning. For, and again, another overnight journey through to San Francisco. 2 nights in San Francisco. Now, that journey from Denver to San Francisco is, I would say, certainly in my top 3 scenic journeys in the world. It really is amazing. San Francisco, got a tour of the Napa Wine Valley in Sonoma as well. Anyway, the California Zephyr. So the key to this journey is that second day from Denver to San Francisco. This is the sort of landscape that the train goes through for the whole of that day, pretty much, really. It is amazing. It's a sort of path or route that you can only access by train. There's no roads. You could probably get a helicopter down this way with a very skilled pilot, but best thing to do when you leave Denver is just get up to the observational cars on the train. There's upper deck of some of these carriages, the observational cars, there's open seating. There's no reservations, first come, first serve. Get up there with a book, settle in and enjoy the amazing, amazing scenery. It really is. See some wild horses. In the following morning, the next day, you're coming over the heights of the Rocky Mountains or the Southern Rockies. You kind of come down and you can see the coastline high up, go across Lake Tahoe, absolutely amazing, really is beautiful scenery. That's not to kind of miss out, of course, Chicago. New York, we all know about New York as well, but Chicago got a great mix of some of the kind of oldest skyscrapers, but also some of the most contemporary new skyscrapers as well. Lovely to get a trip out on down the river as well, but down by the lakefront, it's beautiful. They've got a wonderful, wonderful gallery in Chicago as well. It's where that picture, is it American Gothic, of the two characters, really can't remember who painted it, but that's in Chicago as well. So lots to do there. Some really, really beautiful sort of the Sears Tower. That's it, the Sears Tower. It's got a great bar at the top of the Sears Tower. So you go up there, enjoy a drink as the sun goes down and you see the city lights light up. Wonderful, really lovely. But from Denver as well, the Mile High City, you've got the day trip to the Rocky Mountain National Park, one of the lesser known national parks as well. Now it is seasonal access just due to the winter and the snow, etc. The conditions up there, you can't do that, go that far into the national park during the winter months, but spring and summer, beautiful scenery. There's Bear Lake, this huge great lake as well. You do get a good chance of seeing some bears and some wild moose up here also. But then let's talk about the onboard the sleeper trains, onboard Amtrak as well. So the package is based on the seat accommodation, so the reclining seat. Easy access, easy upgrade is the roomette. So the roomette is for one person or two people. Okay. Really, what's important in my eyes about upgrading to the roomette or even the bedroom that we'll look at in a minute is that all meals are included from there on in as well. So if you're considering on this particular holiday, you're sleeping on the train 3 nights, in effect, 3 days, 3 nights, 4 days, 3 nights. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner included with the roomette and the bedroom. It's really, really worth it. And of course, you get a very comfortable bed to sleep in as well. This is the roomette during the daytime, sliding door, very, very comfortable, plenty of leg room between the two chairs, plenty of storage space for bags as well. During the night, the top bunk folds down. That's it, basically. And there's little steps, a couple of steps just out of picture here that you can get up to the top. I think, if I remember correctly, there are, 4 downstairs, 2 upstairs, and a bedroom per carriage. So 6 roomettes and 1 bedroom. For the roomettes in these carriages, for the roomettes and the bedrooms, the sleeping accommodation carriages, there's complimentary tea available to all, tea and coffee available to all. There are shared bathroom, shower, toilet facilities. Bedrooms, however, which are essentially double the size of a roomette, have ensuite facilities as well. Here you can do it for 2 passengers. You can get family bedrooms as well, so you can get bedrooms for 4, which is great if you're traveling with a family. Really spacious, again, plenty of leg room and really big windows as well. So if you're not lucky enough to get a seat up in the observational car, as said, you can still just enjoy the amazing views from your cabin. And at the end of that trip, because you've got the magic of San Francisco, jaw-dropping, beautiful city, but a great day trip out to the Napa Valley for some wine tasting as well. So you can find out more about those holidays and much, much more by visiting www.railbookers.co.uk. And we've recently kind of launched the new website. So there's lots of fun bits on there now. So you can search by destination, you can search by holiday types, or where to start. There's lots and lots of really interesting information, some great blogs about popular trips, etc. And there's some really good information about what life is like on board particular trains there as well. So it's a great place just to have a little kind of delve into. And it's question time. I've been waffling on for a good half an hour myself, so please do pop any questions you might have into the questions area. It'll be wonderful to hear your thoughts on the holidays, but also if there's any particular destinations that you wish that I'd gone into more detail about, if there's any particular destinations you're interested in learning more about in future webinars. I'm here to help. Please do let me know. Tracy, great question. So Tracy just asking, can we take the train to Portugal? It's a bit tricky at the moment, not just because of COVID and France and Spain to get through, but there used to be a train, a sleeper train from this French-Spanish border all the way through to Lisbon. But last year, the rail operator, there weren't enough people traveling on it, so they pulled it. Now, it hasn't been clarified if that's going to be forever or they are going to bring it back. We desperately hope they're going to bring it back. Otherwise, it's very tricky to get to Portugal by train. You have to sort of go to Barcelona, up to Madrid, up to Santiago de Compostela, and then down into Porto. That's the only real way of doing it. There is a line from Madrid to Lisbon, but it's not direct, which is crazy, I think, having two kind of main countries next to one another and big cities, but it's not direct. You have to change a couple of times in the sort of border town called Badajoz, which there isn't really much to do there. And if it's a train that you don't catch, you're in a bit of trouble. So yeah, it's a tricky place to get to by train at the moment, Portugal. It's very sad. A good way of doing it is from Seville. You can take a bus. And it's only around about 2 hours from Seville to Faro down on the Algarve. It's very good bus connection, very kind of prompt, clean, good bus services as well. Right, well, I'd imagine a lot of you are very hungry for dinner now, so I shall keep you no longer. Thank you very much, everybody, for sticking with me. I hope you found it helpful. I found it interesting as well. Any further questions you do have, don't hesitate in dropping me an email. It's gareth.jones@railbookers.com. Keep well, everybody. Thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye.